Iran's exiled crown prince Reza Pahlavi is more than just a name in the history books. He is leading a $100 million campaign, working with Western allies and a secret military network. But the money is just the tip of the iceberg. There are truths behind the prince's glamour, and the last of these 8 truths will leave you speechless. Reza Pahlavi, from crowned heir to exiled prince. Reza Pahlavi, born on October 31, 1960 in Tehran, is the eldest son of Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, and Queen Farah Diba. In 1967, he was officially named Crown Prince of Iran, entering the Reza Pahlavi School in the palace, a place reserved for the royal family and close relatives. From a young age, he showed his outstanding ability when he made his first flight at the age of 11, and just 1 year later received his pilot's license, affirming himself as the youngest pilot in the royal family. At the age of 17, he went to the United States to train in fighter jets at Reese Air Force Base in Texas, where he flew T-37s and T-38s, a turning point that established the image of the Crown Prince as a talented pilot, ready to sacrifice himself to serve the country. But looking further back, it was also a turning point for the royal family. The overthrow of the Pahlavi regime in 1979 forced the entire family to leave Iran, embarking on a journey of exile that began in Egypt and eventually settled permanently in the United States. Reza continued his studies. After dropping out of Williams College and the American University in Cairo, he completed a BA in political science by distance learning at the University of Southern California in 1985, a testament to his thirst for knowledge of Iranian culture, history, and philosophy. He was fluent in English, French, and Persian, making it easy for Americans aged 40 and over to accept the image of a civilized, modern prince. Born into royal grandeur, Reza Pahlavi's true power isn't his lineage. It's his extraordinary talent and American-honed leadership that transformed this crown prince into Iran's most compelling democratic voice. That discipline, courage, and global vision stem from flying high under real pressure. Reuters reports that in recent Paris press conferences, he warned that only a democratic transition can ensure peace, not nuclear strikes. That wasn't royal rhetoric, that was strategic brilliance. This isn't just a prince. This is a strategist who rewrote the royal playbook, turning jet fuel into democratic firepower, and now he's building the blueprint to transform Iran. From a prince, Reza immersed himself in the exile community, using his royal image as a springboard to become a vocal leader for democracy. From investing nearly $2 million to turn it into a symbol of power, Reza lectured at Yale, UConn, organized a government in exile, and repeatedly called for a democratic Iran with freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. He also received CIA media support in the 1980s, promising "I will return" in a cross-frequency broadcast. Today, at 64, Reza Pahlavi remains a symbol of his imperial past and his belief in democracy, a voice echoing the more than 80,000 Iranian Americans who protested in Los Angeles in 2023. But exile didn't mean poverty. In fact, Reza's Maryland mansion tells a different story, one of quiet strategy, lavish living, and royal resilience. Reza has emerged as a key figure during the recent Israeli airstrikes on Iran's security installations, branding this moment Iran's Berlin Wall moment and urging Iran's military and security forces to align with the people, not the clerical state. His bold declaration in Paris, "Our Berlin Wall moment," revealed his pivot from royal heir to revolutionary strategist. But that's not all. Reza has forged ties with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, positioning himself as a pro-Western alternative and accepting compliments from Israeli leadership as regime changes align with Israel's goals. While some warn he's cozy with Israel and question his grassroots support, his alignment with Netanyahu and hawkish U.S. voices frames him as a legitimate future leader if only the regime falls. In this high-stakes political chess game, Reza Pahlavi stands at the crossroads of royal legacy and modern insurgency man, turning exile opulence into a weapon of democratic revolution. He might just be the wildcard capable of redrawing the geopolitics between Iran and Israel. Before we dive into the gold-plated gates and $3.1 million estates, let's answer the burning question. How did Iran's royal family get so rich? It's simple and staggering. Iran holds the world's fourth largest oil reserves and second largest natural gas reserves, according to the BP Statistical Review. For decades, this natural bounty flowed straight into the royal coffers, funding fleets of supercars, billion-dollar foundations, and palatial estates from Tehran to Manhattan. Inside the $3.1 million royal palace, Crown Prince of Iran's secret life revealed. Welcome to Potomac, Maryland, a discreetly gated Georgian-style estate nestled among the leafy avenues of Potomac. Not Beverly Hills. Not Dubai. Potomac. And it's not just any mansion. This is the $3.1 million royal residence of Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the exiled heir to the peacock throne of Iran. He bought it for $1.25 million in 1996. Now, it's worth more than double, and every inch has been touched by nearly $2 million in upgrades. Vaulted ceilings. A private library that's all paneling and prestige. And a lower level with a full guest suite, a bar, a cinema room, stadium seating and all. The house even has its own HVAC, 2 baths, and could become a gym, office, or private studio for exiled dreams. To understand his ambition, we have to go back to the beginning, to the boy who was born to rule, and the revolution that stole his crown. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah's $2 billion empire of supercars power. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, father of the Crown Prince of Iran. He is the last Shah of Iran, was the embodiment of regal extravagancies, personal wealth estimated at $2 billion by 1980 and roughly $7.2 billion today. Behind the palace gates stood a fury of automotive legends: Lamborghini Countach, Espada, Miura SV, and Svijic, personally commissioned by the Shah, each performance marvel guarded by SAVAK agents, tested for horsepower under imperial scrutiny. His fleet didn't stop count the Rolls Royce Phantom, Mercedes-Benz 600s, even a 1930 Pierce Aero Model A, once costing $30,000, a price equivalent to 1/8 of Iran's entire budget at the time. Today, these magnificent machines serve as living relics of an empire at Iran Historical Vehicle Museum in Karaj, drawing thousands of visitors marveling at this royal collection. Among the museums is the shimmering Pierce Aero Model A, symbolizing both the zenith of luxury and the Shah's unrivaled authority. But the car collection was more than mere toys for a king. It was a rolling statement of dominance, a chrome-laden manifesto. Legend holds that the Shah owned up to 25 Mercedes-Benz 600 limousines, each draped in leather, armor, and mystery. Behind those tinted windows, decisions were made, power was wielded, and glamour enveloped his rule. And his power extended far beyond the driveway. Through the Pahlavi Foundation, he owned the Hilton Tehran Hotel and Manhattan's Avenue skyscraper, built in the 1970s and valued at $14.5 million in 1975. This tax-exempt foundation, later known as the Pahlavi Foundation, held more than just property, it held leverage. At its peak, the foundation's assets were worth $3 billion. Beyond the politics lies a powerful partnership. Reza and his wife Yasmine have built a family legacy that mixes Ivy League dreams with Persian pride. But here's where the contrast hits like a thunderclap. While Reza Pahlavi walks through his $3.1 million Potomac estate and speaks of democracy under chandeliers, millions of Iranians back home are trapped in a cycle of despair. For over 4 decades, crippling economic sanctions from the US and the West have paralyzed Iran's economy. But that's only part of the story. Corruption and weak governance have drained the country's resources, funneling wealth into the hands of a few, while inflation soars, the rial plummets, and youth unemployment hits record highs. Today, as Israel and Iran edge dangerously close to open warfare marked by missile strikes, cyber attacks, and regional escalation, the people suffer while the elite retreat behind palace walls. So while Reza Pahlavi's lifestyle sparkles with wealth born from oil and legacy, the nation he hopes to reclaim bleeds quietly under pressure. And that, right there, is the paradox that divides a nation and fuels a debate the world can no longer ignore. The royal romance next-gen power, Reza Pahlavi's family legacy revealed. Reza Pahlavi and his wife, Yasmin Pahlavi, have crafted a life that blends regal legacy ambition, and it all centers around their family and fortune. In June 1986, the 25-year-old Reza married Yasmin Itamed Amini in a private ceremony in Greenwich, Connecticut. Yasmin, born July 26, 1968 in Tehran, is no mere royal consort. She's a top-tier legal mind, holding both a BA in political science and a Juris Doctor from George Washington University. For a decade, she fought for vulnerable children as a lawyer in Washington, D.C., later founding the Foundation for the Children of Orange, cementing her role as both nurturer of elite roots and champion of public service. Their union brought 3 daughters into a world of bilingual elegance, Iranian heritage, and American opportunity. Princess Noor Pahlavi, the first Pahlavi born in exile, arrived on April 3, 1992 in Washington, D.C., followed by Princess Iman on September 12, 1993, and little Princess Farah on January 17, 2004. Yasmin's dual identitorial by marriage, advocate by vocation added layers of purpose to family life. Her leadership in charities and legal service instilled in her daughters a sense of duty. Reza, the political torchbearer, balanced his campaign for democracy with parenting, ensuring his girls embraced both their Iranian roots and American identity through language, education, and cultural practice. Estimations now suggest that Reza's personal net worth hovers around $10 million, derived from inheritance, strategic investments, and high-profile speaking engagements. Yasmin, meanwhile, commands a social media presence with estimated earnings of $15,000 to $20,000 per month, reflecting her influence and digital engagement. Caught between worlds, this royal couple leads a compelling narrative, a top-tier Iranian dynasty, now champions of democracy, thus raising the next generation on foreign shores yet deeply anchored in purpose. Their daughters are poised to inherit not just wealth but values, bilingual fluency, civic responsibility, and a mission to reshape Iran from afar. As Yasmin and Reza watch Noor carve her path in New York, and Iman and Farah grow up in that stately Maryland residence, one can't help but wonder, will these princesses become tomorrow's voices for change? This is more than a family profile, it's a story of legacy, power, and destiny in dollar and royal terms, and it's only just beginning. Trump's Make Iran Great Again, how Reza Pahlavi fits into America's plan for regime change. Reza Pahlavi, Crown Prince of Iran, has become a strategic player in former President Donald Trump's emerging campaign to make Iran great again, MEGA, in a narrative that's sending shockwaves through Washington and Tehran. Trump revived the phrase MEGA in late June 2025, posting on Truth Social. It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? This slogan quickly went viral among Iranian dissidents, with thousands of supporters posting under MEGA alongside the old Pahlavi-era flag, many of whom rally behind Reza Pahlavi and chant, "Come back, Crown Prince." In May 2025, Pahlavi publicly applauded Trump's maximum pressure campaign, calling it the best opportunity to weaken Tehran. In an exclusive interview with New York Post, he criticized President Biden's reversal of Trump-era sanctions. This regime, in its DNA, is simply incompatible with the free world. Maximum pressure did pay some dividends. He framed Trump's tough stance as perhaps the most popular American president since the Islamic Revolution. Among Iranians, crediting the approach for isolating the regime and curtailing its nuclear ambitions. This dynamic reveals a powerful synergy. Trump's messaging gives legitimacy to Trump-era policies, while Pahlavi offers an American-friendly Iranian face, a royal-born Democrat prepared to lead a transitional government. Analysts note Pahlavi is the closest thing to a unifying opposition figure, a bridge between Western pressure and internal mobilization. Now the narrative has shifted into overdrive. Imagine a world where a $3 million exiled prince teams up with Trump Republicans, riding a populist wave demanding democracy in Tehran. It's a potent blend of nostalgia, power, and geopolitics. Can this Pahlavi-Trump axis bring down a 46-year-old autocracy or risk reviving a Cold War-era showdown on steroids? One thing's for sure, Trump's reintroduction of MAGA isn't just a slogan. With Reza Pahlavi in the spotlight calling for crackdown, defection, and democratic rebirth, those three words might be the spark for a seismic shift in Middle East politics. Reza Pahlavi's power play. Exiled Crown Prince's $3 million campaign to remake Iran. In recent weeks, he's launched the Iran Prosperity Project, a sweeping economic blueprint aimed at stabilizing a post-Islamic Republic Iran, unveiled in Washington, D.C. on April 30th, 2025. The plan outlines a 100-day stabilization phase, followed by decades of democratic and economic reconstruction. At the Geneva Human Rights Summit, he outlined 5 strategic pillars for overthrowing the regime: grassroots mobilization, international diaspora coordination, pressure on G20 nations, regime defections, and preparations for democratic elections. A defiant press conference in Paris on June 23, 2025, he declared, "This is our Berlin Wall moment," and chastised Supreme Leader Khamenei to step down and face a fair trial, a striking pivot from royal heir to revolutionary public figure. He has called upon Iran's military and security officials to side with the people, confident that the regime is teetering on collapse. Politically, Reza positions himself as a transitional guardian, not seeking to restore monarchy but to shepherd in democracy. In an interview with Politico in Paris, he made clear he's ready to take over from Khamenei and called for Western backing, not just military, but strategic tech support for communication and civic strikes. His position has intensified with soaring tensions in the region, aligning with regional forces to topple the regime. While some analysts question his actual influence, calling him a marginal figure with limited support, Reza continues to amplify his voice, warning of deeper bloodshed if Western support stays passive, launching formal channels to contact Iran's military insiders and urging elite defections. His activism extends into international forums, from the Munich Security Conference to the Oxford Union, where he argues secular democracy is essential and shames reluctant allies. Today, at age 64, Reza Pahlavi's life is a high-stakes blend of exile opulence and democratic insurgency. His home is both a safe haven and a war room, his public persona a mix of royal dignity and activist urgency. He wields his legacy, wealth, and global connections like weapons, fueling speculation about whether this $3 million lifestyle is the true game-changer. Is this opulent exile the launching pad for a seismic political return? Here are 5 shocking facts about Reza Pahlavi that you didn't know. Number 1 is he's the crown prince who chose democracy over power. Reza Pahlavi was born into absolute power. As the eldest son of Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the last Shah of Iran, Reza was groomed from birth to rule. At just 9 years old, he was officially named heir to the Peacock throne. But after the 1979 Islamic Revolution ended the Pahlavi dynasty, Reza didn't launch a military campaign or plot revenge. Instead, he made a remarkable pivot, advocating for a secular, democratic Iran. For over 4 decades, he has repeatedly called for a free and fair referendum, allowing Iranians themselves, not kings, not clerics, to decide the future of their nation. As he told BBC Persian, "This is not about bringing back a monarchy. This is about restoring dignity to the Iranian people." BBC 2023. Number 2 is he's been chosen to lead Iran's opposition in exile. While Iran's fractured opposition has often struggled to unify, Reza Pahlavi remains its most recognizable and trusted figure. In February 2023, a coalition of opposition groups including human rights activists, exiled politicians, and cultural leaders named him as the figurehead for a transitional government. This isn't symbolic. The movement envisions him as a temporary leader to guide the country through democratic reforms after the collapse of the current regime. His credibility comes not just from his royal lineage, but from his decades-long advocacy, his fluency in Western media, and his strategic vision for a post-theocratic Iran, CNN 2023. Number 3 is he's carrying his father's legacy with a twist. His father's regime was one of paradoxes, rapid modernization paired with political repression. The younger Pahlavi has absorbed the former and rejected the latter. He envisions an Iran that's modern, secular, and globally integrated, a nation where schools are built before mosques, where women lead without fear, and where no one is jailed for speaking their mind. While critics say he carries the burden of the past, supporters argue he's redefined it. As the Washington Post noted, he sees himself not as a king in waiting, but as a custodian of national unity, Washington Post 2022. Number 4 is he's a prince in exile, but with a billion-dollar voice. Unlike many political exiles, Reza Pahlavi never disappeared. He lives in the United States between Connecticut and his $3.1 million estate in Potomac, Maryland, purchased in 1996 and later renovated extensively. From this sanctuary, he broadcasts messages of hope to Iranians across the world. His interviews on international networks and his passionate speeches have garnered millions of views. And in an age where silence can cost lives, his voice has become one of Iran's most powerful tools for change. He's a royal who uses modern media to fight an ancient regime. Number 5 is he's betting Iran's future on the West, not the past. One of Reza Pahlavi's most striking beliefs is his commitment to Western alliances. While Iran's clerical rulers lean toward Russia and China, Pahlavi believes Iran's prosperity lies with the West. He's lobbied the US, Congress, spoke at European think tanks, and urged governments to support Iranian protesters rather than negotiate with autocrats. He envisions a country that respects international law, promotes human rights, and becomes a true partner to democratic nations. As he told Reuters in early 2025, Iran is not the enemy of the West. The regime is, and the people are ready to reclaim their future. Reza Pahlavi isn't just a name in history books. He's a man fighting for a legacy that isn't about crowns or palaces, but about justice, dignity, and freedom. In a world where exiled royals often fade into obscurity, he's done the opposite. He stayed in the spotlight, risking everything to be the voice of 85 million people who haven't been allowed to speak freely in over 4 decades. Whether or not Iran will ever restore a monarchy, one thing is certain: Reza Pahlavi is a name the Islamic Republic fears, and that, in itself, says everything. What do you find most impressive about Reza Pahlavi? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Like this video, subscribe so you never miss a new story about the world's most fascinating people. Thanks for watching.